Max, I know you got the Jags, but I want to get to your team, Stephen A. The Steelers tied the Browns week 1 and got beat by an NFL quarterback making his 3rd NFL start at home on Sunday. Patrick Mahomes put up a 6 TD performance at Heinz Field. I'm looking at you. Are your Steelers done?
Yeah. Breaks my heart to say it. I picked this team to go to the Super Bowl. I'm embarrassed by what I'm seeing from the Pittsburgh Steelers. I truly, truly am. First of all, their defense is horrible, okay? Their secondary, I don't even want to get started with it. It's just embarrassing to watch. I've been complaining about it. I know Mike Tomlin got on me before when he showed up on the show because he said, you said the same thing about my offensive line a few years ago, and look at that. Well, I've been talking about the Steelers secondary now for 3 years. I've been talking about it for 3 years. I'm embarrassed by what I have seen from them. It's pretty bad. Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs did what they wanted, when they wanted, how they wanted. Starting out 21-0 in the first quarter. That's not good at all. He was picking them apart. Travis Kelce was doing his thing. I'm mad he didn't give me a nice end zone dance, though. I'm mad about that because I like seeing him jigging up, doing his thing in the end zone once he scores a touchdown. But outside of that, he was doing what he wanted to do. We all know what Tyreek Hill brings to the table. Kareem Hunt ran over one of their corners to get into the end zone as well. The Steelers tried to make a valiant comeback. Juju Smith-Schuster was getting off. Jesse James was getting off. I told y'all about that running game without Le'Veon Bell. It came crashing down to earth. Let's keep that in mind. But the reason why I say the Steelers are pretty much done, in my estimation, is because I don't like the dysfunctionality that is existing with this team. You got the offensive lineman talking about Le'Veon Bell the way that he did. You got Antonio Brown threatening reporters for crying out loud, threaten one of our colleagues from the Undefeated or whatever. You got that going on. You got him on the sideline going off at his offensive coordinator because you know what, he ain't getting the ball enough. And we didn't hear the sound, but damn it, that's the only thing he could have been arguing about. Couldn't have been anything else because Juju Smith and others were getting off and he wasn't. So we see all of this transpiring before our very eyes, and the Steelers are imploding. Is that to say that they can't rectify matters and fix things? Sure. But I think I've gotten to a point, Damian and Max, where before I'm willing to admit that you got to show me enough's enough. There's just too much stuff going on with the Pittsburgh Steelers right now, and especially when it comes to their defense, which is just horrendous. I mean, this is a team, a franchise that's famous for the steel curtain, and their defense is just embarrassing to watch people throw the football against them because they're virtually non-existent.
Look, the Steelers are done, but they were done before the season started. I try to tell you, the Steelers are just not as good as advertised. They don't have a defense. I told you the Ravens were going to be the class of the division. And also, by week 2, it was obvious it was going to be a 3-team race. I think the Steelers are still win some games and be in the picture. But the Bengals are much improved. As I mentioned, when Whitworth signed with the Rams, the Bengals line fell apart. But they traded for Cordy Glenn, who's good. He's a second-round pick a couple years ago by the Bills, but he's just been hurt a lot. And now he's protecting Dalton's blind side, and Dalton's good. And the Bengals' defense ain't bad. Like, the Bengals are real. So the Steelers are dealing in a division that's not so easy as it's been, as at least it was last year. And without Le'Veon Bell, they still got a nice running back, but they're a little less special on offense than they were. And then most importantly, Ben Roethlisberger is a name-brand player, but he's not a great quarterback anymore. He's a good quarterback. He's okay. He's fine. But he's not an elite quarterback anymore. What does it all add up to? As R.J. Bell said, Stephen A., the odds maker, you can see him on Twitter. Who's most upset about their 0-1-1 start? The Steelers, the Browns, or Triple G? Right? Like who's most upset about 0-1-1? The Steelers have yet to win a game, and they've played the Browns and then had a home game. And they haven't won anything yet. They're just simply not as good as people thought they would be at the beginning of the season. And I thought it should have been more obvious.
I'm worried about the Steelers. I'm worried about the Steelers. And Stephen A., you brought up a lot of really good points as far as the chemistry, between the players and the players, against each other and so on and so forth. But I think my biggest issue is Mike Tomlin, okay? Mike Tomlin has obviously the defensive-minded head coach who specializes in the defensive secondary. And what we've seen from the Steelers seem like the past 2 or 3 years, they can't adjust defensively. I mean, you got Pat Mahomes coming into Heinz Field and just doing whatever he wanted to do. Now, granted, the Kansas City Chiefs have a bunch of weapons on offense. But when you think of Pittsburgh, again, you're talking about a team that has a rich history of defense. I mean, they were getting absolutely shredded by the Kansas City Chiefs. And when you got a defensive-minded head coach who seems like he just doesn't adjust well. I mean, you can look at last year against New England when Gronk was going wild, and you were just thinking, you're sitting there thinking, when are you going to take away, the Patriots' biggest weapon? It just seems like time and time again, when we talk about the Pittsburgh Steelers defense, you don't see the improvement, you don't see the adjustments. And to me, you got to point right to the head coach because he's a defensive-minded head coach.
Is Roethlisberger still a great quarterback? Yes or no, Damian?
No, he's not.
Right.
He's not. No, he's not. He's not. But you can win with Roethlisberger. He's just not. He's
Flacco
not.
Ain't great. Dalton ain't great.
He's just not
Nobody
what
the Browns
he's
have
not
is great
what.
yet.
He's not what he used to be.
But what I'm saying,
you can win with Big Ben.
But Stephen A. And what I'm saying is the real reason, yes, great coach, great offensive line, although, Damian, you've been talking about the coaching, really good offensive line, but the real thing that separated them were the triplets: quarterback, wideout, running back. Roethlisberger, Antonio Brown, Le'Veon Bell. But the fact is, Roethlisberger is only there in name. That's not the same guy anymore. And Le'Veon Bell's not there at all.
The reason your point is diluted is because it's the same thing we've been saying about Kansas City. Their offense is great. Their offense is explosive, but their defense is suspect. But they're sitting here 2-0. You understand? Because they're not imploding like the Steelers are imploding. That's the difference. The Steelers' offense showing up averaging more than 30 a game. But they're finding a way to lose, and that's the problem. Because they're not together. They're not a team. They're just a collection of individual parts.
Yeah.
That's the problem with the Steelers right now. They are not a team. They are not a team.